Hi folks, I'm Jake Bresson with Bresson Painting, bringing you another helpful video to complete your painting project. Speaking of complete, when you're finished with your painting project, how are you going to clean up? You've got all this paint now left in your cut pot or bucket, your tray. What do you do with it? You don't just want to rinse all that excess paint down the drain. You want to keep that to a minimum. So in order to dispose of your paint that's left over in your tray or your bucket, you're going to want to clean it back out into the gallon so that if you need it at a later date, you have it and it can store and keep. First step to cleaning out your brush when you're complete is going to be cleaning out your tray or your bucket. It's actually quite easy. I'm gonna see if I can't spill any paint here. I've got this gallon balancing right here on a ladder rung. And I'm just going to take here and I'm going to wipe all of this excess paint that's in there down into one corner of it. And this would be the same as if you're using a tray or whatever. And I'm just going to use my brush to scoop all of that back into the gallon. And I'm going to try to get as much of it into the gallon as I can. I usually tell any new employees that if you think you're done wiping all the paint out of your bucket, you're not. There's always paint left in there to be cleaned out. With that being said, you don't want to spend your entire afternoon just wiping paint out of a bucket. So once you have all the pockets of paint cleaned out from the corners and you have most of the residual paint cleaned up from the inside of your container, what you're going to do then next is take your brush that's been saturated in paint for long hours while you've been working so hard and diligently on your project, and you're just going to take it and wipe all the excess out on the edge of the paint can. Now you're ready to take your brush to your sink and wash it out. We typically like to use utility sinks when we're working in clients' homes, and if a utility sink is unavailable, we don't have a problem washing it out at a kitchen or a bathroom sink, whichever the customer prefers. As long as you know how to keep your splatter to a minimum and keep your splashes in the sink and clean up after yourself, you should be just fine. So after you get all your paint put back into your can, you're going to be ready to go to the sink. Now you only go to the sink if you're using a waterborne product or latex. If you have a solvent or oil-based paint or primer, you're going to want to go not to the sink. I will be uploading another video shortly about how to clean out solvent products from a brush. So in the meantime, click subscribe so that you'll be up to date when I do that. This next part of the video, you're not going to see my face. It's just going to be down in the sink. And please excuse my sink. It is literally the... So you're just going to take that brush and you're just going to work it like this. Just nice and easy back and forth into the sink. And if you've got a bowl sink, you want to make sure that you're not splashing too much and getting paint spatter up on your walls or anything. So just work that around nice and easy. I've got hot water on right now. Usually I will go with lukewarm. They recommend using warm water to clean out your brushes and soap, and I don't have any soap nearby right now. So then once I get most of the paint worked out like that, and that's just the first rinse, you're going to do this a couple times here. Once I get most of the paint rinsed out like that, I'll pick up the brush and I'll actually run my fingernail over that to get all that excess paint that's been dried on there out. A lot of times if you're working outside and you have exterior paint on there, you'll have quite a bit of a buildup around right up here around the ferrule of your brush. And the fingernail, just glide it right down, make sure all of your motions are going down against the ferrule down here, going that way. And if your fingernail doesn't do it, or if you don't have good fingernails, you can get a little wire brush. This is a Worcester brush product, and you can just brush all your ferrules. And when I say ferrules, I mean your bristles. You just brush them all out. You can get kind of aggressive with it there. And I've seen some videos where people say not to use wire brushes because it can damage the filaments on your brush. I've never had that happen. So go ahead and use a wire brush if you need to really get in there and clean it out. If you find that does damage your brush, I apologize. I'm not going to say that claim is good on all brushes. It probably isn't a good idea to use wire brush on a Chinex bristle brush. It probably isn't a good idea to use a wire brush on a China bristle brush. But on these synthetic bristle brushes, I've never had an issue. And then I'll just use this comb here to really get deep in there if there's any dried paint on the inside and get that out. And the main thing here that you want to do is just work your brushes. Just squeeze them and work them, bend them however you want. You're not going to hurt your brush right now. You're just cleaning it out. And I've seen guys on my crew do this with their brush, and I highly discourage that. I think you want to go always away from the ferrule of your brush, and if you have any paint that's up in there, this is going to work it out right here. Just taking your brush with really firm pressure and pushing it down into the sink. Just pushing it down in there. And I've already got really nice clean water coming out of my brush. There's still just a little bit of a milky paint substance that's coming out of there, and I'll just work that out nice and easy. Just this way and that way, and I'll go this way with it and this way. Whichever method, whichever way you have to work your brush to get that paint out. And then once you're all done, I usually give my brush a nice little shake underneath the water as the water's running down it, so that it kind of helps to lay the filaments back out naturally. If you get done washing your brush and your brush looks like that, if you do this, just a nice little gentle shake with it in the sink, that'll really help the filaments lay out nice. So once I'm all done, I'm just going to take my two fingers like this, and I'm just going to pinch and pull down on the brush. And if you do that too hard, you're going to end up spreading your filaments way out. Let's see if I can do it. You have this big fan looking brush like that, and your bristles are spread way too thin, fanned out. You don't really want that. You want to have a nice, just like it came in the box. So you just want to run your fingers over there nice and gently, just like that. Some guys will use the toe of their shoe to knock off excess water in their brush. If you do that, make sure that you don't hit the ferrule of your brush onto your shoe. As you can see right here, this ferrule actually got bent from banging it on somebody's shoe or on a concrete curb or something. So make sure you just hit right up here on the handle still against your shoe or against the palm of your hand. My favorite method right here though is just to take the brush and just like this, shake it out. And I'll just do this a couple times. And then once I'm done, that brush is either ready to hang dry or go back in its package or wrap in a rag. After you get done washing out your brush and you have a nice clean soaking wet brush, you're going to want to take it either outside or onto your drop cloth and kind of shake out the excess paint. And really, as soon as you do this, you're going to see that water just flies everywhere. So you want to make sure that the water, when you're done cleaning out, all comes out extremely clean if you're going to be doing that inside your house. In other words, take it outside into the yard and shake it out a couple times. And once your brush has most of the residual water shaken off, you can either put it back into the case that it came in for storage, and these cases don't last long, so if you don't have the case, or if you've put your wet brush back in there and the cardboard is deteriorated, you can also use a rag. You can just take your rag here and your brush and set your brush on there and fold the rag up around the brush. And if you've got excess down here, you can kind of tuck it in. This is one of my favorite ways to store my brushes when I don't have the cardboard sleeves that they came in. And if it's a soaking wet brush and I don't have time to run outside and shake it out, I will always wrap it in a rag, because rags, they help preserve the filaments of your brush and keep them nice in their nice order. Here's a couple that have been a little unruly, and if you have any filaments that are kind of sticking out like that, that are bent from improper storage or whatever, you can feel free to either get a razor blade and cut those off, or a pair of scissors. Sometimes we'll use our 5-in-1 here to kind of grab the loose unruly bristles there and just cut them off. And if you've got a little excess, it doesn't hurt, yeah, but if you're a perfectionist, go get a pair of scissors and cut that little loose hanger off there. So great way to store your brush when you get done washing it, if you don't have the cardboard sleeve that it came in, is just wrap it up in a towel. And you want to make sure though that when you first put it into that towel that you have all of your filaments in a nice neat pattern there, just like it was when you first opened up the box. Because if you don't, your brush is going to dry to that new form that it's in, and it's not going to be like a brand new brush next time you go to use it. So just lay everything out, wrap it up, tuck it away, and it'll be ready to go the next day. If it's still a little bit wet the next day, usually brushes, when they're wrapped in rags, can take 1 to 2 days to dry out. It just really depends on the humidity content in the home that you're working at. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I hope this video helped you guys out. Good luck on your painting projects.